Yes, Ijoma, me too. Okay, thank you. I'm also grateful for you, for friends like you. Taiwo is grateful for health. Um, Ngozi is grateful for friends. Which ones did I miss? Okay. Um, okay. Machuku is grateful for life and hope. Okay. Lanio, grateful for sound health and financial intelligence. Okay, very good. Now, it's always important to start your day or begin anything with gratitude. Um, Kalisa is grateful for quality health and motivation. Okay, from us. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Can someone actually type in the chat and tell us why gratitude is so powerful, especially in the times that we live in? Type in the chat. Or you can also unmute yourself and then tell us, why is gratitude like a really, really important discipline for us in the times that we're living in? And in fact, at any time, what makes gratitude powerful? You can unmute and tell us. And what's the relationship between gratitude and financial provision and financial success? Let's interact. Let's interact. Type in the chat, or you can unmute and speak. Why gratitude? Why should we practice gratitude every day? Okay. All right. So gratitude renews your fire. Very good. Very true. It creates room for more opportunities. Absolutely. A grateful heart appreciates others. Absolutely. Makes you motivated and keep track of your success. Very, very true. What I've discovered is that in addition to all that you have said, gratitude actually shifts energies. If you find yourself tending to be, to feel discouraged or to be depressed, and then you begin to give thanks, you start counting, just like the songwriter said. He said, count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what God has done, for you and done in your life. And it's very, very true in my experience. So gratitude makes me see the things I ordinarily wouldn't have seen if I were not grateful. Gratitude also keeps you from comparing yourself with other people. And that's a very important part of financial success, because one of the big problems that people have, that we have in this part of the world, in fact, anywhere. And when we did the abundance challenge, we also mentioned it. One of the things that the things that keep us from doing well in our businesses and in our family finances is when you compare yourself with other people. You compare yourself with other people. And then as you're comparing yourself financially with your neighbor, with your colleague in the office, okay, we work in the same office. How come he has a house and I don't have? How come he has car and I don't have? You compare yourself with your neighbors, who are politicians, and everything seems to be going well for them. It doesn't seem to be going well for you. But gratitude shifts your energy, because when you are living in that kind of situation, that kind of mental environment, just like Kalista said earlier on, you will miss your opportunities. And then you will not be able to, like Machuku said, you will not be able to, you won't become aware of your own inventory, the inventory of opportunities and assets and resources that you have. And each of us here, each of us on this call, you are at least in top 1%, or let's say top 5% of this continent. How many people are actually able to even get on Zoom? like you, and then to have access to this kind of forum. How many people actually have that kind of access? The people with us in the WhatsApp group, many of them have not heard about Zoom. They were hearing about Zoom for the first time. So it's always good to start with gratitude, especially when I fail in business, like I failed in business after I left Shell. Especially when I'm encountering difficulties. The tendency is for people to complain when things are not moving well. But you see, you can't complain and create at the same time. And at the same time, you can't create if you are not coming from a place of gratitude for what you have and what you've been given. So thank you all for sharing what you are grateful for. All right, so what we're going to do this evening, I would like us to review and to debrief your experience, with the financial fitness worksheet, for some of you who did it. I saw a comment in the chat and someone said that it was very intense or something. Yeah, and if you're planning to create generational wealth, it can be quite intense. It can be quite intense. All right, so let's start by reviewing it. And so the question for some of those of you who did it, what was this experience like for you? What did you find? Which aspects of this did you find challenging? Which one did you find most helpful doing that? So there are a couple of sessions which starts with assessing your financial fitness, because if you don't know where you are financially, it's going to be difficult to take your bearing to the future that you want. Then the B section was on planning the financial future, starting with 30 things you absolutely must achieve before you die. All right. And then talking about your short-term, long-term, medium-term goals. What do you have right now that you can add to your portfolio? Okay. Because after we've reviewed this, we're going to go through the cash system again. And then we're going to focus on the first part of it, which is capital formation, where many of us find ourselves. From the exercise we did the last time, we discovered that some of us do not score very well in our financial index, so that there's opportunity to be much better. All right. So what were your experiences going through this worksheet? What did you find very interesting? What did you find challenging in doing it? All right. So we can unmute. You can unmute and speak, or if you raise your hand, and then we can. How many of us actually did it? Can you indicate how many of us did it? If you just put thumbs up. Okay. Oh, okay. Much said you tried feeling it and it didn't respond. Did anybody also have the same experience? Well, of course, what you can do, you can also copy it out, actually, like in your journal. Yeah, okay, because I attempted it. Yeah, you can actually just copy out the prompt in your journal. All right. So, or you can print it out. We can print it out and fill. But it's easy to fill if you have a PDF editor. All right. If you have only the viewer, you may not be able to edit it. Put it in speaker view so I can see that. So you can see, for instance, if you're using Apple, it's very easy to edit, but I'm not sure how many of us use Apple. So I don't know what else you use. I don't know what else you use, but if I'm using Apple, I just click on this markup tool, and then this is the text. This is the text tool. So once I have text, of course, I can resize this. Okay, I can say maybe 17 or something. That looks too small. And then I can use maybe blue or something. So I can easily fill here. Okay, my net worth is, okay, my debt I'm owing right now. Let's say, for instance, I'm just giving an example. Let's say my debt is 35 million. Okay, and then my asset, okay, so basically you can see that it's easy to edit. Debt to 5 million, my asset, and then my asset will include my stocks. So I can say my stocks, 15 million, for instance. I can say house rental, rentals, house. So, or I can say, yeah, rental housing that I have. Okay, my real estate. Okay, I can say, okay, maybe I have 10 units. I met a guy in Lagos, who told me he had about 2,800 or something like that housing units in Lagos. That guy will never be poor in his life. And of course, includes mostly this low income housing real estate. So if, let's say I have 20 units of that, and then each of them is valued at 3 million naira. So that would be 60 million. Okay. Then I can say, all right, I might have cash at hand in the bank. Let's say the cash at hand, I wouldn't keep too much money in the bank myself, but let's say it's 700K. So what else? Some women might have jewelry. Some of you may have jewelry. What else are the kind of assets that we typically have in this part of the world? Type in the chat. Type in the chat. Let's do this together. What else would be an asset? Like jewelry, typically, our ladies, if someone has jewelry, typically how much jewelry does an average woman has? Someone who invests in jewelry. Are there people who invest in jewelry that you know? I need feedback. I need interaction. This is not a lecture. Let's have engagement. So let's say someone has a couple of gold and all those things, and then it's 8 million. Okay. What else would be an asset? What else would be an asset?
So, I want to ask a question. When you said network, you put the debt. Is the debt the network?
No, the net worth is equal to total assets minus total debt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's why, we'll have to make an inventory. And I tell you, this is a very important exercise because a lot of us, I'm trying to see how to justify this thing. Where is, so that's why I thought that we could actually do it together so that we can get clear on that. All right. So jewelry, 8 million. What are other examples of assets? Let's do this together. Okay, car. It depends. Calista, it depends. Would we say that car is an asset or liability?
If you're using it for transportation,
yes. So let's
that
say
is bringing you money.
very good.
It's an asset, but it's if it's as it's not it's an asset that when that depreciates.
Right. It's a depreciating asset. I like the way that Robert Kiyosaki defines asset and liability. I like the way that he defined it. It's in a way that a primary school child can easily pick up. Okay, so An asset is something that adds money to your pocket, and a liability is something that takes it away from your pocket. So a car can be asset, it can be a liability. A house can be asset, it can be a liability. So a house is actually an asset when you are, it's an asset in the sense, if you're living in it, it's an asset in the sense that it's something you could sell off when you want to sell it. But it's a liability because you're living in it and you have to maintain it. And sometimes you're paying some tenement rates and things like that. All right.
When it's built in the village, what is it called?
When the one you built in the village, and
The
then
big one in the
and then
village.
it's a liability. Yeah, that our house is a liability because we don't stay there. We only go there. The family only goes there during family events and then Christmas. So it's definitely a liability because it's not adding money into
I
our pocket.
I think I think it may not be. It might be like the car.
Yeah.
It is not a liability. Depending on the size. Why I had to refer to it is like the way the big ones,
Yes.
right? That because they spend so much maintaining them. Same
Right.
with the houses that you live in, if whether no matter where they are located, if they're not fully occupied and in use, because that's what is going on now, is that what we thought were assets
Mm-hmm.
have actually become liabilities.
Right.
So that's a challenge. So when I looked at this, what's your network? I say for where? I don't know. I can't calculate that one because I don't know which ones are working through my
But
life. So I couldn't answer that question.
yeah, but
So
so what you can do, and this is for everyone, is you need to have a guesstimate of what it is, and of course, it's a private number. It's not something that, for instance, I'm going to be sharing. Even the ones you hear about in Forbes, and then people publish other people's network, and they tell you this musician's net worth is this business person's net worth is this. All those things are guesstimates. They don't really know, but you could almost approximate for most of those people. The business people, they look at their company, they look at the shares, it's kind of paper money. They look at the shares that they own. Say maybe Elon Musk owns, let's say 20% of the company, and then Tesla's capitalization is 1 trillion. Therefore, his net worth is going to be at 20%, it's going to be 200 billion. That's what they do. But every single one of us needs to have an idea about our net worth. Do you know why? Because you might actually think, I mean, it's like the church that Jesus wrote. He said, you have a name that you are alive, but you are dead. It's when certain financial emergencies come that people actually realize that they didn't have a net worth. Or like this morning, something happened that I don't want to, especially the men in the room, especially for us men, it applies to everybody. But I'm sharing this one because it happened to someone I know. This guy died. I think it was 50 or early 50s or something, a couple of years ago, early 50s. He had married a very young woman. That young woman should be in her early 30s or mid 30s right now. And guess what? They have 5 children or six, I don't know, 5 or 6 children. Five. There's no house. There was nothing in the bank, like there's a bank account and then there was something in the bank. There's no landed property. There's no asset. The woman called today. She's going around calling everybody because there's serious problem right now. Taking care of 5 or 6 children, little children, as a widow. It's not easy. And then to worsen things, they moved from the village here to Lagos of all places, you know. So I can only imagine what that young woman is going through right now. And then she has to call everybody. It's like, what will you do? So sometimes we do what we can, but giving 10,000 today, 20,000 tomorrow, 5,000 the next day, that's not what you use to raise 5 children. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So why it's important to actually know for sure, even if it's a guesstimate of you, and it's so easy to calculate. People you are owing money, it could be business debt, it can be personal debt, it can be whatever, money you borrow from the bank or whatever. Okay? You put it down. That one is easy to know. The people you are owing, the money you owe the bank, or maybe the mortgage and things like that. Then you put it down. And then even if you don't capture everything, just have an idea, because you might be surprised that some of us here that are net worth. You see, when you calculate your net worth, for instance, and you find that your net worth is less than 1 million, maybe your net worth is 500,000. It tells you something. It can actually encourage and inspire you to do much, because 500,000 is a very good place to start, because NDIC tells us that only 0.4% of Nigerians have 500,000 naira and above in their bank accounts. Okay, but when you can calculate your net worth, everybody, please do it. Do it. Sit down. It does many things for you, because it will actually tell you the true condition of your financial fitness, of your financial situation. That's number one. Number two, it now gives you a baseline to start building wealth, to start increasing your net worth. But it's going to be difficult for you to focus on increasing your net worth when you don't even know what the net worth is. Do you understand? Is it making sense? And, type in the chat, So it's important that you know where you are, okay? Does retirement savings count as net worth? So the retirement savings will count as asset, okay? But it won't be the net worth. It's going to be asset. So you are going to put your retirement savings together with all other assets you have. And then you subtract that, the debt from. So if your retirement saving is the only asset you have, which I hope not, then you just do your total assets minus debt. And then if you don't own debt, if you don't have any debt, which is rare, okay, if you don't have any debt, maybe a mortgage or something, then your retirement savings can count as your net worth. But we need to know, because to begin to set your financial goals for your financial, you do much better if you have an amount of money that you want to grow, some kind of net worth. Because if you're planning to grow a net worth of 10 billion naira, the actions you are going to take, the investments, the learnings, the kind of people you will associate with will be different if your target net worth is 100 million naira. And so you're going to ask yourself, what is the target when you go to section B? You're basically asking based on the purpose, God's purpose for your life. Because the other thing I want to tell you, this is not religious, it's spiritual. Because all of us are spirits. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. Before any of us was born, we were fully financed. We were fully financed for the purpose that we were created for. But many of us never access this finance because, number one, we're not very clear about our goal and the purpose of our lives. Because wealth cannot be divorced from purpose. Because purpose and wealth go together. The wealth giving you was to enable a particular purpose. Okay. For instance, I have a very, very deep desire to help the young people in this continent, the continent of Africa. I have a very deep desire also to help families in this continent to escape the systemic and generational poverty, part of which was laid on us by the colonial system that we are still suffering from. And then so why I talk about systemic poverty is also the system is created to make you poor and to keep you poor. Even here in Nigeria, the system is created to keep you poor. So, and I want for myself and for my audience to overcome that system. To overcome that system. Because imagine a system where 10 families in Nigeria, for instance, control about half, or let's say even 20 families control about half of the wealth of this country. So it's systemic poverty. It's systemic because they give one businessman import license, and then they don't give all the other 10 business people. They refuse them import license, and then they give to one businessman. It's systemic because they give a particular business dollar at 200 naira. And then the other people have to source dollar at their own, at the black market.
At 980.
At 980. So the system is not fair. It is made to. But this is part of why I'm sharing this, because the truth is, many things are not like what they see, what they look at. Motivational speakers might come, they tell you things, you might read things in the newspaper, read things in whatever, and they tell you, okay, government is doing this, BOI is doing that. But behind the system, behind the newspapers and the media are things that are going on. So if you're naive, you'll be surprised that why is it that somebody will work in this country all his life, the person is 60 years, the person is retiring at 60, and the person, you've worked for 30 something years in the government, you can't build a house, except if you now put your hand, if you're working in the civil service, if you now put your hand, how will you, on a civil service salary, I know somebody close to me who's been teaching for God knows like how long, like maybe getting to 20 years or more, a graduate that I know very well. And this guy is earning, it's not up to, I don't remember how much, it's not earning up to 50,000 naira a month. So how in the world will somebody like that escape this systemic poverty? That is what this thing is about. So the place to start is actually to know your status. So when you know, this is my net worth, then you can now start building from there. It will become very clear to you that you cannot create 100 million naira net worth from that your job. You can't do it from that your job. Even me working in Shell at that time, okay, it was possible, but I couldn't on that job alone, like grow a net worth of say 1 billion naira. So it's systemic. Yeah, except you steal, like Ijoma said, but why I run this group and why I continue to run it every single week, every single Saturday, same time. So even if it's 1 or 2 people, is how do we get ourselves? How do I help people to get out of this systemic problem? Because people are just running around the wheels. You're earning, let's say you're earning where you're working now. Let's say you're earning 500,000 naira, and not very many jobs pay that kind of thing. 500,000 naira a month. So that would be 6 million in the year. That 6 million, the 6 million you earned last year is like 3 million this year, or 2 million. but it's still being called 6 million. Okay. And then Chima is saying moving to a country that has a better pay structure than Nigeria might be better. Well, that is also something that we can discuss because, yeah, you might go there and then you are earning, maybe you are here and then you are hearing about $60,000 a year. And then by the time you do $60,000 times Naira, it's giving you 60 million. And you say, okay, that is wonderful. But by the time you go there, and then your eyes clear with the taxes, and you find that that's your 60 million dollars that you're earning, or maybe
60,000
60,000, I beg your pardon,
dollars.
$60,000 that you're earning there, that at the end of it, what you're taking home will probably be 25 or something. By the time the taxes have dealt with you, by the time you're paying, you see, if you're paying house rent there in Lagos of 2 million naira for the year, by the time you now go to the US and some parts of the US, and then that 2 million naira, which is about $2,000 now, is what you pay for 1 month, depending on the kind of house. You hardly find a place in America now where you can get a decent housing for $1,500 every month. So you might go there and then you have a better pay structure, like you said it, but you find that you might be earning $60,000, but you're taking home 30 or even less. And by the time you now pay all these other bills, at the end of it, you find that you have to find a second job, a third job. I mean, ask your relations who live there. Many of them have 2, 3 jobs. And then it begins to tell on your family life, on your relationships, and on the time that you have to parent your children and things like that. Okay. Yeah. So these are the kind of things that we should be exploring here. So Olanio said, I would prefer working remotely and stay in Nigeria to earn in foreign currency. Definitely. So one of the ways you hedge against inflation, this hyperinflation and currency devaluation, is to earn income in dollars. But something tells me that all those things, the money system is about to completely change. Yeah, it looks like the American dollars might have some problems in recent times because people are waking up to the challenges of the financial system. All right. So this is how to calculate net worth. I would encourage every one of us to have an idea about what your net worth is. It is an eye-opener exercise, I'm telling you. And so don't do like what our people did when I was in Chevron, and then HIV/AIDS started making its debut in Nigeria. Yeah, so in those days, it's not like today where the tests are very accessible and perhaps affordable. But in those days, the company now made arrangements, those early days, for us, for all the employees to go get tested. So every day they will send emails, they will come to the cafeteria and make announcements, the medical department make announcements, please come, everybody come know your status, blah, blah, blah. And it was free. And, and at the end of like 6 months, the company gave up. You know why? Less than 6% of the people of the whole company, less than 6% went. And then I asked a couple of people why they didn't go, because some people like us, just happily, went. And then, and the results came out like same day or something. But lots of people were saying that they would rather not know. And that is a big problem with us, and especially very big when it comes to things like our health and our finances. So people feel, I would rather not know. And so they think that by not knowing that they are safer. But if you don't know the status of your health, you will not know, what to do to correct your health challenges. It's exactly the same thing with financial health. Okay, so please, if you haven't done it, I encourage you, even if you just have a guesstimate, have a number. It is going to humble you like it humbled me. Because if you don't do it, you will think that you have money somewhere. It humbled me when I did mine. So please do your net worth exercise. Okay, what else did anybody find challenging in doing this worksheet? And I would truly encourage everyone in the group to download that worksheet and do it. Okay, William, someone is asking in the chat how to get the workbook. Please post the link. Post the link again in the chat so people can get it. Okay. Any other question? What else? What else is your experience doing this? And where do you have any questions? Any questions? Okay. All right. So we'll review that.
Somebody asked a question that whether whether what they have in their business to sell is considered asset.
Yes.
Somebody asked that question. It's in the chat.
Oh, okay. I missed that. So yes, because it's called inventory. Okay. So your inventory in the financial statement is usually in the it's usually part of your asset. Yeah. So you can have, unsold inventory. That's a good one. Okay. Ibitoye says, I'm just wondering what becomes of civil servants like us, no asset anywhere. All right. So part of what we want to do is part of this is actually to create. So I think your question, Tony, would lead us into the very next thing that we need to do. So this is a good time to segue into that. So just give me a second. Okay. So we will always refer to this chart. All right. So, and I would actually encourage you, if you haven't, to take a shot of this, because most things that we're going to do will focus on this. This is a system. The challenge with many of us when it comes to building our generational wealth and escaping systemic poverty, the challenge with many of us is that we do not have a system. So today somebody comes and says, oh, this network marketing company, they have the best compensation structure. If you join now, all you need to do is just bring two people who will bring two people. And within 4 weeks, you can get a car, you can travel to China, you can travel to Johannesburg and things like that. And then you join, because that's what I did too. So I went from Forever, there was one before Forever, from Forever to Organo Gold, from Organo Gold, to 5 Links or something like that, from 5 Links and all that. So you see, this thing is like a moving target. A new one comes in town, you jump. Okay. And in fact, mine actually started from Nospetco, where I lost so much money as I was leaving Shell because there is no system. So what this system that we have developed does for you is to give you a trusted system. I developed this after working with literally hundreds of people, and then after working with hundreds of companies around Africa. And what this cash system does, it takes you from where you are to a place where you have created generational wealth, something you can leave behind for the next generation. And for the men in this audience, married men here, and also young men who are not married, it also applies to women, but mostly to men because of our culture here. You want to do everything possible to build a house for your family before you die. It is so important because I have seen how I lost a family member many years ago, like it's almost 20 years ago or something like that. And he was a trader. And what he did, he built houses, a house or two houses. And he had married I think two or three wives or something. What saved the saving grace for that family with so many children that he had was that he built those houses. So if you leave your loved ones without a place and you're still renting, it's horror. So every time I remember that plane crash that God saved me from, if it had happened at that time, I just imagine what would have happened to my wife and children if I had died in that plane crash in June 2012. So what is this cash system for breaking the capital barrier? Now, capital barrier, the way that I have defined it is, okay, that's in another presentation. So capital barrier is when you consistently find yourself, some of us have been having this capital barrier for 5 years, some for 10 years, some for as long as 50 years, 40 and 50 years. You are never able to do what you can because money has always been a barrier. You're never able to enter into the purpose of God for your life because money has always been a barrier. You are never able to take opportunity around you. Somebody is traveling to Canada. He's running a business. They have a house and then they have a business. And then the person wants to sell the business. The business ordinarily would be worth like 400 million. But the people just need to sell it because they want to get out. And then they ask you, give us anything. Do you have 30 million? Including the house, including the business, the employees, the assets and things like that. But you don't have that kind of money. Okay, so, and I have a client, who this thing happened to exactly the same thing, but in his own case, he had the money to buy that hospital. Today is one of the biggest hospitals in the whole of Edo and Delta State because the old couple, they were doctors and they were relocating to Canada. And they called this young doctor and said, yeah, we want to sell. So he was very smart. He just ran around a couple of doctors, like I think 4 or 5 of them. They put money together and bought that hospital from that man and his wife. And today they are thriving. Very big hospital. They are in Warri, they're in Port Harcourt, they're in Benin, and they're in Lagos. It started small. And then when they started, they were doing I'm trying to remember the figure he gave me, something ridiculously low, maybe like 4 million or something. And as of the time I worked with them a couple of years ago, they were doing 2-3 billion naira. Okay, so they bought the business and then they grew it to such a fantastic place. So that is what capital barrier is. Now, how do you break it so that perpetually, you don't hand over generational lack to the next generation? They don't have to start from zero. Your children don't have to start from zero after you've gone. So the first thing is the capital formation. The capital formation is actually where it's like you're forming the capital. You're earning the income because you can't do anything until you earn it. So the first barrier to overcome is the earning barrier, the income earning barrier. And it is during the capital formation that you also pay off your debt. All right, at least the so-called bad debt. This is also where you break the survival barrier. Okay, where the survival barrier is what is happening to many families in Lagos. They live to work. How do they put it? They live to work and they work to live. No, I'm not getting it right, but it's the hand to mouth kind of a thing. You have to move out every morning if there must be food in the house. You have to move out of the house every morning, 4 a.m. You come back at 12, 12 midnight. And people have been living like that in Lagos. And then one day they don't go to work, then they don't eat. So that is survival barrier. You're still at that level where it's survival. What shall we eat? How can we pay children's school fees? How can we get access to good water? How can we afford good hospital bill or hospital care, for the sick people? So capital formation is important. That's where all of us, in fact, for me, I am somewhere between that capital formation and asset creation. Because before you can begin to create assets and to multiply that, you have to form it first of all. And so there are other ways, but there are two major streams for capital formation. The first one is through getting a job. Through a job. So you can form capital by getting a job. So you trade your skills and your qualifications and your experience, for money. So money comes in the form of salary. So that is capital formation. You're forming capital. Now, another critical component I'll go to the second one, but another critical component of the capital formation stage is saving money. So somebody said that if you cannot save money, the seed of greatness is not in you. So because if you're forming this capital and let's say they're paying you 70,000 naira a month, that's capital. If you're consuming everything that comes in, then you're not forming capital. You're forming the capital and also destroying it and consuming it. Meanwhile, like I said the last time, every income that comes into our family has two parts. It contains two genes. One is bread and the other one is seed. Okay? The prophet tells us that God gives bread to the eater and seed to the sower. And so in the capital formation stage, you want to make sure that you don't eat your seed. You cannot consume everything that you earn, no matter how small. And it is the habit because the seed is usually very small. So if you're earning 50,000 naira a month, it doesn't matter. Even if it's 500 naira that you save, what I've discovered with the savings habit and investing habits that once you start and you get into the groove, you will be amazed. Because saving is not about the amount of money, it's about the habit. You'll be amazed what you can save to start investing. So that's capital formation. And that's where I want us to, kind of to think through today. Because if we can't form capital through income, through getting the money in, through income, through earning, then we can't even begin to move on to the second stage. The second way that you form capital is through starting your own business. So the first way is getting a job. The second way is starting your own business. So starting a small business. So you've identified a gap in the marketplace. You've identified a problem that you can solve. Okay, either online or virtual or physical or a combination of both. The third way, which also begins to get into the asset creation part that you can form capital, is through investing. Okay, it's through investing. Yeah, so but that's already stepping into the asset creation. But the important thing is, how do you earn money? That's a question I would like you to type and work in. How can we bring in income? And you can do that exercise with your family, with the children. You can do it with your mastermind. And so one favorite way I do that exercise is to sit down and say, how can I earn 1 million naira now? How can I earn 10 million naira? So you write down all the possible ways. That's an exercise for capital formation exercise. All the possible ways that you can earn 1 million naira. or that you can earn 10 million naira. By the time you have brainstormed and come up with like 30 different things you can do to earn 10 million naira, the strategy, the answer will come somewhere within those 30 ideas. But you really need to sit down with a blank piece of paper and write on top of it, how can I earn 10 million naira between now and the next 6 months? Then write all the things that come, brainstorm, don't judge it. By the time you finish and you've written up to 30 things you can do, you'll be amazed, that somewhere behind that lies the answer that you're looking for. So that's where I would like us to stop today. And we can, if there are questions or conversations or contributions that we have around that, then we can take it at this time. Chima said, speaking of savings in this economy, is inflation not going to make your savings worthless? So I hear this question all the time. And the answer is, it's not about inflation. And it's not that before, when the banks were giving some sizable interest, there was a time in Nigeria where you could earn, Angus, you can remind me, but I think there was a time in Nigeria where you could earn up to 8% on your savings account. Those, good old days. But now I think it's something so insignificant. I'm not even sure it's up to 1% or maybe 2% or something. So which is actually
fixed deposit is about 4.5.
Fixed deposit is 4.5. Okay. Now,
so I think the other one is much lower.
Is much lower. It's about 1 point something percent. So when you look at it and then you're putting it against an inflation, which they officially published, the inflation in Nigeria right now is 22%. So it doesn't make sense to save money if you think about it that way. But I'm saying that you are saving money as a form of teaching you, getting into the discipline and into the habit. So saving money is not so much about the amount of money. It's about developing that discipline of saving. And then people have told us, I've studied Asia, and told us Asia became financially much better than most of Africa because of the savings culture. The savings culture is very, very strong in Japan. It's very, very strong even in China. Okay, so you save, not necessarily because of the amount of money, but of course, for some of us who have established a system, the saving is automatically going into investment. So you don't just save the money and then keep it because it will be losing value, but start saving first of all right? And then that saving eventually can automatically go into investment. So like in my own path, it goes into the stock market and then from the stock market into real estate. So you've got to have a plan. And then you make that thing automatic. So once you build that discipline, so it's not about the amount of money or saving in inflation, save it, but put it into something and develop that habit. Yes, because your hand is up. You can unmute, please.
I was going to say that inflation, the inflation only affects those who have saved. If you don't have money, inflation doesn't affect you. So it's a lack so you haven't addressed at all. So if they say something is costing 10 naira now, but it has gone up to 15, you have to have the 15 naira first. So what I have written down, what Obo just said about save, then real estate, stock, and then listen, that is, if you have the savings, if you have that habit and you have it on a small income, when money comes to you more than what you have been saving, you find that you'll be able to also save and you'll be able to invest. But if every time the money comes, you've already like, it's not enough. It's never going to be enough, And like, I remember the story he told last week about his own family, how many of them and how they were able to be raised on minimal income. It's because of this saving habit of parents and looking for other ways. I would say that many of us who have had to raise children and do some things, it wasn't because there was any ton of money that came, and we didn't have the privilege of mismanaging public fund. I call it privilege because Nigeria has now made it that evil is called good. So we didn't have those. So we didn't have to steal anybody's money to do all the things we did. It was these savings, now putting it like he said one word I saw there is automatic. So you can authorize from your salary that this amount will go into a particular place, whether you ate or didn't eat, because after all, no matter what we eat today, you'll still be hungry tomorrow. So anyhow, whether there's a new Ashebio, because these are little things that take the money. A new Ashebio, all of the things that, that can take our money from us. So I'm encouraging, I'm seeing a lot of young people and this, and that's why I'm even speaking to. You don't need to repeat our own mistakes,
right?
And things we have watched others do. So now, will savings always work because it's in the bank or not? It may not. But if you don't have, like I stress what Omo is also saying, if you don't have the habit, you will not start at all. So let's start from the habit of, I want to buy, okay, I downgraded myself recently. Normally, I would want to buy something from the fast food people, but meat pie is 600 naira.
Wow, my goodness! Already,
So
I don't.
It's 600 naira, and the size of the thing, you throw it into your mouth, you forgot that you ate something.
Really?
So it's so small, and inside it is only potato inside.
Wow.
So I looked at it. I was looking at the thing and they listen. So I remembered one other place that they sell sausage roll. I asked them, how much is the sausage roll? They said 250. I stood on the line now and bought the sausage roll.
Yeah.
250. I even found at least they painted the satis inside. So the satis sausage, it was painted inside. So as I was chewing it, it's the same results I would have gotten from the meat pie because I was hungry on this thing. And it was the same cleanliness of the environment.
Right.
So one is something express, the other one is chicken republic in the same premises. What did I do? I have saved myself some money and satisfied the hunger that was at that point, which I just needed one small thing to carry me through. Well, that's what we were saying. You can look at the corners of where the money is going. Fridays for young people, I find out a lot of them Fridays and when salary is paid. When you have that cash plenty in your hand, it looks like it's plenty. But if you sit down and make a budget, which is how the people who live overseas that send money to Nigeria, that's what they do. And without talking too much, I want to talk about this Japa syndrome. When you hear that 60,000, it is minimum wage over there. It is like somebody earning 18,000 naira here. Because by the time you pay all the bills, the money they paid you, they will take their whole money back.
And you can't even.
That's the first thing.
You can't even.
And there is no auntie to stop by. You can't stop at any auntie's house to eat or uncle. There are things. Then the seasons change. Winter will come, the other one will come, and you will have to change clothing, and you have to heat the house. Many people just catch pneumonia because they can't afford heat. What I'm saying is, when you're the young man that said, I want to earn remotely the foreign currency. Please do something genuine continually. I know you are, but do it continually. And the foreign currency, earning it remotely is better because when you earn it, it kind of stabilizes you. And then you also in your own environment where you can find the food that is cheaper, no matter what the inflation is saying.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so I'd like other people, who else would like to share your experience with saving, with capital formation? What are the challenges you have in terms of breaking your capital barrier, breaking that barrier that's always keeping you from investing, from pursuing your dreams and things like that? Who would like to share, unmute and share, or your experience, with saving or with assets and liabilities? You can raise your hand if you know how to, or you just unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, my name is Toby.
Okay.
I was finding it difficult to actually put some monies together. I run an ICT company. After a period of time, I think I have to go and study how they run. There's a particular market in Nigeria called Alaba International. I went there to study the way those guys run their business, because I was like telling myself, I don't think everybody in that market did ritual. Some of them are doing a legit business. Now, when I now discover how they run the business there, I used to purchase in Ikeja in Computer Village to sell. The margin was very small. At the time I now moved to the market, and I discovered, these same guys are coming here to buy, and I go and buy from them.
Right.
And I discovered that I started having large volumes of savings. I started putting it aside. And one of the most funniest things I've seen is that some small opportunities begin to come that make me to divert from my business. And I just, I have 200,000. I just buy the market immediately, because I have the power of negotiation, because I have some small savings around me. I think it helps, but it's not easy, because especially if you're married, you have children, you have responsibility.
Right.
On the most seriousness, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's a pain. Sometimes I tell my wife, we can't eat the chicken. Let's go for fish so that I can accumulate some. I'm still on the journey. It's still very, very. Sometimes I ask myself, if I die today, what's going to happen? What actually put me across to you was the word you said on TikTok. You said, assuming I died on the plane, that plane crash, what will have happened?
Right.
And as I said, I think I need to follow you, and let's see how life's going to be more better.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That was such a rich and inspiring sharing. Thank you. So which introduces us to the subject of, I like what you said about how challenging it could be when we have a family. It is. And this introduces the very important subject of delayed gratification. Ngozi also mentioned it, because if we don't add that delayed gratification to the mix, it's going to be very difficult to save. And then for many of us here, just breaking that habit of not saving is just all we need to set us up into a very, very powerful financial trajectory. Just beginning to save. But we can't save without delayed gratification if we must have it today. I told a story of sometime last year, I just felt like having grilled fish. So I was introduced to somewhere where they do grilled fish around here, and it's 7,000 naira, the small ones, but you can get as much as 9,000, 10,000 for the big one. So that day I just felt like eating grilled fish. I think this was 7,000 naira. I took this money, looked at it in my hand. That was a lot of money. So I stood there looking at this money. I said, okay, wait a minute. How much is GT Bank? GT Bank shares. I don't remember exactly how much it was at that time. I think it was around 18 naira, because GT Bank was at 18 naira for a long time before it went to almost 40, and it's about 35 as of yesterday, 35 something. So I said to myself, if I put this money into GT Bank versus if I go now to just eat this fish, if I ate that fish, that was it. That was it. It will just go. But if I put this thing into GT Bank, that money will start working for me. And so I bought the GT Bank. It must have been around 17 or 18 naira. I don't remember, but if I go to my records, my direct market access records, I can see all that. And then, voila, I did not die because I didn't eat grilled fish that day. And then, believe me, I make those decisions every day. I look at something I want to buy, and then I sit there and I'm like, and that's why it's important having a system and having a plan. Because I'm always asking myself, if I spend this 10,000 naira now on this material or on this thing that, like Ngozi was talking about sandwich and, meat pie versus how much with that 600 naira, how many shares can that 600 naira buy me, even if it is in First Bank? I think First Bank is about 20 naira now. So that meat pie of 600 naira could buy me First Bank like 20 shares. Is it 20 or something? 20 at 20 naira or 30. Now that thing is a seed. It's 30 shares, but you'll be shocked what the 30 shares will do for your wealth in another 5 years. So I'm speaking to delayed gratification. Many of us cannot save because we've not started practicing delayed gratification. We want it right now. And then when I share these stories with young people, they say, oh, it means that your life is hard. You're not enjoying. Somebody must work. Man must enjoy his money. That's why you're poor. If you think that way, and I tell you sincerely, I have worked for and worked with many wealthy people in this country. They are not what you think they are. Those people are meticulous. And I think because one of them, if I mention his name, late general, who a general, and then he passed. He was very, very wealthy, very well-to-do. But this man, if he sent you, or if he goes out, drives out of his house, and then maybe buys groundnut, buys fuel, buys whatever. When he comes back, this man sits down to calculate his balance. He puts his receipts together and calculate. But he was a very, very wealthy person, owned companies, was one of the power brokers, when he was alive in the country. And then we knew this man very, very on a personal basis. He had his, kept receipts. So we think that you think that the wealthy people spend the money. It's poor people who spend, and show all these things. These wealthy people do not spend money like that. So in fact, when you walk with some of them, you will even call them stingy. So they tell me when I'm doing that, they say, oh, okay, you're not enjoying your life. Oh, so you think my spending money anyhow is how to enjoy my life? I'm enjoying my life, So practice delayed gratification. You mustn't have that as Shoebi. It doesn't matter what they will say if you don't have it. And I've refused some of those things. I mean, if you want me and I must come into your party or whatever, and I don't have money, if I don't have budget for that as Shoebi, I'm not buying. And then you can't force me on it. If I come there, I'll wear something close to what people are wearing there, and I'm good looking, so I will dress well. Come there, you can't pursue me. And nobody has pursued me because I didn't wear Shoebi. And I hear that this Ashwebi can be very expensive. People are doing Ashwebi 50,000 naira, 150, 250,000 naira. And then you go and buy because you want to wear uniform with your girlfriends, that day. And then you're complaining that you can't save money. There's nobody who can save money, And then like he told us, you can suffer a little bit. You can just deny yourself a little bit. So instead of the fish, you do chicken. Instead of chicken, you do something. It's just for a time. And then you discover that over time, you can eat all the chicken and all the fish that you want in the world when you've allowed that money to work for you. So last sentence I want to make on this is, the goal for every one of us is to make every single naira or dollar in our pocket, to put it to work for us. Can you imagine if 1,000 nairas, I'm putting nairas here because 1,000 nairas are busy working for you while you're sleeping? That's amazing. 10,000 nairas are busy working for you when you're sleeping. So that can happen, but you mustn't consume it first and finish it. Because if you finish it and then you eat it like bread, then there's nothing working for you. And that's an invitation to lack and to difficulty. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, the saving aspect is key. I'm taking that away. Very good. Okay. Yeah, that's a habit. Okay, excellent. All right. Okay, fine. Okay, so if there's no other contribution or question, this is a very good time to bring it to a close. Yes, you would have the recording. What I will encourage all of you to do, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's put it on the subscription link. You just click it and then so that whenever it is ready, you will get it. So I don't need to announce it. So when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, make sure you click the notification bell so that you can always, when we upload it, you can always have access to it. All right, so this is it in the chat. So all you do is just click on that link. Okay, so we'll also put it in the WhatsApp link. Just click on it, and then it will automatically subscribe you to the YouTube channel so that anytime that we upload it, you will automatically be notified. So you will have it. Okay, so our final ritual, please type in the chat. What was your aha moment today? What are you taking away from today? Please type in the chat, everyone. What are you taking away from the chat today? What was your aha? What was an insightful moment for you? Something that you are going to implement within the week? Okay. Habit of savings. Very good. Okay. What else? What else? Okay, let's keep going. Every one of us, tell me what was the aha moment for you today? Okay. Savings, foundation to having capital. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Knowing your financial status. Very good. Your net worth. It's a good place to start. Delayed gratification. Okay. Okay. To know your net worth. Delayed gratification to save more. Excellent. The porous habit of spending. I like the way you put it. Twin. Okay. Delayed gratification. Invest. Savings is not about the value of the amount, but creating a discipline. Excellent. Okay. Earning in dollars remotely. Delayed gratification. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So save the Zoom link. Same time next Saturday. I will see you. And then for those of us who haven't completed the worksheet, please do it. And then we can take it one after the other. All right. So thank you all for showing up. I will see you again, same time, Saturday. And then if you know your friends and colleagues in your office that you think can benefit from this, because the more we help one another come out of this systemic poverty, the better for everybody. Then all of us can sleep with our eyes open and sleep peacefully in the night because nobody will be troubling us in the neighborhood to come and collect our own money. So you feel free to invite them and to add them to the group. All right, good night, everyone. God bless and keep you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.